my bag. We made it all the way to
KQBM.
KQBM,
Blue Mountain.
Blue Mountain, California. Yate Shashkahasnitla. Here with two beautiful radio hosts, Juniper and
Alpa.
Alpha. Yate.
Yate.
Yate. Yate. Shashkahasnitla.
So maybe start with introducing yourself and we can take it from there. Wait.
And do you want headphones?
How? Yate. Hello.
Hello, hi Nine. So good to have you here. Thank you so much for doing all this work. So for people that don't know about who you are, the work you do, and what would you tell them to ground us into your work? Everything that's going on with the court cases.
Hokahe. Yate. Warriors, resistors, clan mothers, headmen, front lines, West Coast, Yate. I am here at Blue Mountain radio station and I'm sharing a message of my travels and I will introduce myself. Yate, I am Ni. Turicini, Nishle, the Tani Bashes Chin, there's a Sunday Nadash shade, or National. What I know caught in the Nanshle. That I am a Bitterwater clan, born for the Holy Arms people. I come from Pinon, Arizona, originally Sayget, which is the stronghold of the Ne, and our White House is there. So I am traveling out here the last 6 months or so in the West Coast area from Pinon, Arizona through Sacramento, Davis community, DQ University community up to Oregon and Washington. And in my travels, I am trying to meet with some of you clan mothers and headmen that are in the court cases, and I see land claims, and I see a lot of resistors, some incarcerated and some having hardships about their work and trying to get court cases to win some court cases that are about the uranium or copper or different mineral rights that are happening in Turtle Island. And so I thought that by getting a court case out here in the West Coast that I could help out not only my tribe, but if I help out other tribes out here in the West Coast, that it would make it into some of these Supreme Courts and where people are a little bit active out here on the front lines, and so that is what I am doing, is here to share about particularly one case that occurred while I was here in California traveling through, and it involves my identity. And they would challenge my identity here while I'm traveling through, when I'm not a citizen under the state of California, or I am not an entity under any of the United States or any corporation. And so that's what brings me here. Everyone out there across World Wide Web and Turtle Island, and thank you www KQBM for having me here tonight, and very thankful and appreciate everyone out there listening and tuning in, and with open mind, and I hope we resonate of the message of the court case, and why it is important for you to understand it. at this time in the timeline of our universe. So that's what brings me here. Yate,
Mm-hmm.
we say from Mother Earth to the sky. Yate to all of you. I shake your hand. Yate.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nine. So, why is it so important for people to know about these court cases? What is it about them that and we might get to read the transcript here, but it says that you have filed 27 genocide cases here, and if you can just explain, like, yeah, the real rule of law, natural law on these lands, and for people to understand and ground us into that, to be who we really are and know what the government wants us to believe we are.
It is very long
Mm-hmm.
history, and I've been at this for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's a lot of my own people, and even my generation and older generations that don't even know what this constitution or where it comes from. So that's why it is important for you that make your kids go to public school and stand up and pledge allegiance to a military flag and stuff like that. That if you're native, you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. And there are some certain treaties that are in place that are not being recognized, and I hear that that is the main complaint among the 575 federally recognized casino tribes. And so that happened. And um to be that federally recognized tribe, you have given up your identity, self identity as the clan mother headman way that we're living before any foreigners or conquests of other tribes, and I mean of other countries invading us. There were other foreign times dating back to Columbus and pre and after that. And but I like to go to one specific time, which is the year 1612, that 1612, that in that year is a treaty made called the Two-Row Wampum Treaty Belt. And it is made out of white shell and wampum shell that comes from the East Coast area. It doesn't come from this area, the West Coast. You guys have abalone in that shell here. The chiche, we have these yoshkai, and that's what we call it, is this white shell. And we say that we are the children of white shell, and this identity is this moccasin right here is the white shell up here, and this is the Hassan Shama, this land that everyone's walking on. It's the Earth's mother, Turtle Island. So I'm in that identity as a headman, and here 365 247 13 moons. I'm that way, and I don't get to get out of it. That is called hereditary, and that is like you can't get out of being that way. It's a trait. It's passed on, and so there are certain people that have those ways with them, and they are called clan mothers and headmen, and there's a bestowed authority on them, and a condolence, a blessing by the tribe and from up above. And so that was made with a treaty and made out of this white wampum shell, and it was made when there are not such things as social security numbers or social insurance numbers called SIN or SSN that people have today. So, so at that time, this law of treaty was made, and it would be recognized by the Crown, London, and Vatican, and such like that. It would be recognized at an international level. And it was made for a time immemorial, which will mean forever. And we define it as long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the river flows. And this treaty would be made with the Dutch in particular, the British, and the Roman. And they agreed to the terms that were set for them, that they would come on to Turtle Island, and this is where they have a foundation to come onto the land in peace, not get scalped and held captive or any of those stories. So this is where you have a foundation to finally come on to Turtle Island and come in peace from your ancestors' tongues and their marks. And it was made with my ancestors that were in their identities, and they were considered high authority, daughters of the Great Spirit, and they agreed to some terms to let these three foreigners come onto the land with these terms that they are not higher than a clan mother or a headman, that they are supreme authority here on Turtle Island, and they would always keep that authority. And with the understanding that they come onto this land with friendship and respect to gain peace. There is a symbol of two lines on the belt, and white on the outsides and white in the middle. It's called the Truro Wampum Treaty Belt. And so from that day on, you have a foundation to come on to Turtle Island, and you begin to create what is called 13 slave colonies. And that you can all do that history and research, but then you definitely at least start getting an idea of how natives are running things here on Turtle Island. And you see they have longhouses and councils and clan mothers and headmen and warrior societies, and they start copying these things, and they learn how to see how we're doing our diplomacy and how we're doing our authority here on Turtle Island for pre any immigration system then. So that's why this is so important. I'm citing this court case, this particular treaty belt in my court cases, and I brought it here. It's right there. I showed it to you when they came in. It's in the bag there, and there are many court cases that I have cited the Truro Wampum Treaty Belt in court, including up to genocide cases, and still today the headman and clan mothers rule of law from that treaty 1612 is under threat, and it's because you clan mothers and headmen are not restoring your true authority to this Truro Wampum belt. So there's a purple flag banner belt that's made by Iroquois also. It's called a peace belt, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring you back to the tree of knowledge and peace and wisdom, and come back as clan mothers and headmen. So that's why I share my court case to help you clan mothers and headmen to realize that you have authority, and how do you restore that authority, and how is it used in a court, how do you present it. I've been on social media and YouTube, and I use the handle Nene Speaks Warrior Talk, and I tell just blunt truth and what I'm doing out there, and different actions, and I'm reporting to you, my people, and letting you know that I'm not just hanging around the fort, and I'm out here provoking these cases also. I don't do it like at other ways, but I do it this way because I carry these belts and the Chinupa, and I understand where they come from. And so I've been doing that action, and I got such a case at Shasta headwaters, where the fire department and the city parks people started to enforce a code on me, and then I told I thought it could we get it into the federal court off of this case, and that's what happened. We got it into the federal court, and where in these other precedent cases I had set, um, I I invoked the Turo Wampum Treaty Belt, and they were dismissed for lack of jurisdiction with prejudice, and I haven't lost one like this with the Turo Wampum Treaty Belt. And so I thought the people should know some of these cases, and they are being censored from you. It's on Danish, and they don't want you to say what I'm saying. Um, they don't want you to know how to say the script or how to do it without a lawyer. They want you to use a lawyer. So when you use a lawyer or a attorney, either of those words, that the lawyer and the bar attorneys are selling you out, and you don't know how, or you might know, but you need to start learning how to do it yourself, and learn how to protect your children. There are many of your children incarcerated and in the matrix system that they didn't ask to be here. I remind you, mothers and fathers and parents out there, that your children didn't ask to be put in a system. So there's court cases that are won for them, and for you to get back to living as who you're supposed to be, as a native people, clan mothers, headmen, and in that way. And when you're not around and you're not acting, living that way, truly in your heart and your mind and spirit, it's reacting, because you're supposed to be a universal law. That's what means daughter of the Great Spirit. That means you're a daughter of the sun and the moon. And you're made with a certain DNA, sacred, like who I said I'm the child, a white shell woman, and the thunder gods up there, and so that's how I identify myself, as I am a headman under my clan mother's authority. I'm not just free roaming and free will. I have people, I have gods to answer to, and they have me on a tight collar, and so I do these missions like this, and I try to share them over and over, and there's a whole book of it right here, and a lot of you don't want to listen or learn it, but I got transcripts of everything, how I talk to the judge, and some never come back in courtrooms. They abandoned their ship because they have to answer my questions. Like, is this a commercial court? Like, what is your jurisdiction? Pursuant to the Turo Wampum Treaty Belt, and according to it, you're supposed to be my slave. Now, how are you sitting in the chair to rule over and preside on this case? And if we're in a court of truth, and you're raising your hand, and the sun and the Turo Wampum Treaty Belt is there, and the living is there, you have to answer truthfully. And that's where we're at today in this court case here in California, that it is being titled the people of the state of California versus Joe Emerson. And I identified myself. I am Nene, and I'm in my full identity. And that is what is the rule of law that they are challenging, is the highest laws here on Turtle Island. And when they did this action, they caused a universal reaction, and there are things happening all over the place right now that are like earthquakes. I felt one this morning here, and then they call it aftershock. And I saw the volcano on the news, and I saw a lot of floods going, and I see the relatives in the sky that they're calling UFOs, and I'm aware that we've been at a holy war for our authority and for our lands and our authority over our children, and so that's why I share this court case and this knowledge with the West Coast and everyone that's listening across Worldwide Web Turtle Island. Yate Kehat for tuning in again and listening at kqbm.org.
Wow. Thank you so much for holding that for the people of these lands. So when did you got the belt and how did you acquire it? Since when have you been carrying that medicine and that constitution?
I had it since 2013. I learned extensively about it. I was taken up there to Iroquois, and I was set up in a case where I had no choice but to say those things in the court, and then I didn't know that the Iroquois were not up to holding their own treaty that they made with the Dutch, the British, the Romans. And I am not Iroquois. I am Diné. Nahokati Diné. There is a difference to me. I'm an original Diné. I am not a Navajo. I don't want to be a Navajo like the Fort kind. And I'm this way, like with these guys right here, Manuelito and Narbona, Barbancito, and I'm with them. And I understand their work was in place for this day here, and so I share it with you, and I need allies and try to help other front lines resistance. I know what it's like behind jail. I know what it's like in prison. I know what it's like in solitary. I know what it's like to be degraded and told to squat and cough. And so for all of you that know what it feels like, I'm sharing some information with you. You have a genocide claim. You have a claim against these. I already got them down more than once. And this Tura Wampum Treaty Belt does relate to any of you here on Turtle Island. If you ever made a treaty, and if you've ever been subjected to incarceration as an entity, a social security number, where a bar lawyer sold you out, and you lost lands or whatever, but you have a claim because they were using an entity system. That's the social security name and the number and the card, and there's some red numbers behind it. I learned about these things in the year 2007, heard about it from the Lakota, and they approached me down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that time I didn't really know much Iroquois. I met only a few Iroquois people, so I heard mention of it, and I didn't really know much about it. So I know a lot of Navajo, Diné, and even Lakota and Apaches or West Coast. We didn't really get taught about what is a Tura Wampum Treaty Belt, or we were hidden from that knowledge, and we weren't taught it. We didn't even know where a constitution came from or any of that. So by that knowledge in 2013, after I did a court case in Oregon, I was taken up to New York, and I was learning about these laws that they had on these wampum belts, and I was being shown some things, being told what they knew, but I was wondering, how come you know all this stuff and you guys don't live by it, or you don't do it, and come to find out, a lot of Masons are out of that community called Akwesasne, and there's an actual Masonic base there called Red Oak Island, Red Oak, call it Thompsons, and they're Dutch people, and so there's a lot of corruption up in that area with Oran Lions and these kind of characters out of Iroquois, and they're the ones that made this belt. So it's for all of you to wonder why they don't uphold that Tura Wampum Treaty Belt. And so I got taken up there and I learned about it, and at the same time I was set up while I'm up there because I did a certain court case out of Oregon. It's called, the case numbers 121176, and that's another reason that brought me out here to Oregon. But I won this court case and I made it to Oregon, and that's the year 2013, and I learned about it. And when I get arrested there, I get set up and I get charged for 13 charges. And that my license, my passport that is from Lakota, it is not being recognized also there. They're saying unlicensed, and they stack charges. Stack charges means that they add on a whole bunch of charges to it. So it added up to 13 charges up there in New York, and the Mohawk tribe, St. Regis Mohawk tribe, an entity tribe, and they handed me over to the state of New York, and all of that was illegal. You're supposed to handle it right there, and they handed me to another corporation, hoping that the state of New York would convict me and get me back into the John Doe system. And so this lady had a big part to setting me up. You know, people do things for things. They'll do things for hearts, kidneys, body parts, you know, boob jobs, whatever, you know, they'll do things for the enemy, my enemies. And so they wanted to keep the system going that bad, the Iroquois, that they got a woman to come and set me up. And so she stole some things from me. It was a war rattle and some knowledge on a cassette tape from my grandfathers, my ancestors, for me, not for them. But they stole it and caused a big break in the coexistence while I was there to help them. So it was a setup, and they stole it, and I reacted, and I went on a high-speed chase, and everything, was accused of assault, but it's not on these charges, and so there's a lot that goes to it that's not admitted throughout the court case there. But throughout the court case, I'm citing the Tura Wampum Treaty Belt, and the reason I can cite it there is that I don't have a social security number, I don't have a census number, meaning I'm not enrolled or under any entity, club, or enterprise, corporation belonging to the Crown or the Vatican or any entity. So it was their own mistake, to if it was a mistake, but they had to tell me the truth about what they had done. And I'm on the not the entity side, so they tell me things, and that's what is the difference in this holy war, is that some of us are not entities, and some of us are on the living side, not no entity, no social security number, no census numbers. We're not going along with the genocide, and so that's how this court case happened in New York in the year 2013, and it took me 3 years to win the court cases, which would end up in 13 charges of that were going to end up to at least 9 years in prison. And I did it by myself again, and I won the court case, and I'm still winning court cases, but I ended up not suing, but filing claims against the state of New York and the United States of America. That guy you guys call president, Donald J. Trump, the clown. I served him up in that year 27 charges of genocide and his Attorney General, Loretta Lynch. I served Andrew Cuomo, president of the 13 original slave colonies, and his Attorney General, Eric T. Schneiderman, 27 charges of genocide. They all went out of office at that time. They censored the news from you on that 27 charges of genocide that the United States of America was out of business, including the United States Federal Corporation, 1201 South Street, Northwest Washington, D.C., that it was out of business. They put on a big show for you all. They got Donald Trump in there. They put Joe Biden in there. Then they put Deb Haaland in there. Deb Haaland got on the stage, on the podium, when she was appointed, and told you all publicly she's taking 574 federally recognized tribes' lands and putting it back under Department of Interior trust. Again, I mentioned genocide was one. I took all the lands back through that court case, and I did not settle. And settlement means I sell out again, go behind closed doors, take counterfeit dollar, the play money that you all have in your wallet. Some of you got platinum maybe, but the counterfeit I didn't take. I didn't touch it. It was never about the money. I've been doing these court cases for a while now in numerous states, and they censor them from you. And then because no one catches on or no one follows the route, the path, they continue to try to incarcerate me or silence me or murder me. And there's a lot of documentation about these attempts on me, assassinations and things. And that's what happened here in Shasta. I acquired the Tura Wampum Belt at that time, 2013. I was there as the living man, and the Iroquois were all entities. So by winning in Oregon in the year 2012, I was like one of the only living people on the lands. Everyone else was entities. So those laws of living have to go somewhere. That's how they ended up in my hands. But I learned more and more, and I learned that people really were hiding this rules of law. And right now, since they are very alive and they are being challenged, I that it's necessary to know what the rules of law are on Turtle Island, and that we're way off track of what we're doing, and a lot of us might not make it like what the prophecies say on some rocks and things like that, So I worry about my children. I worry about my grandchildren and my brother and my sisters and my relatives. So I do this work right here. That I hope that I secure a way home for everybody. The best way that I know how is to keep fighting for the truth, to get out there and know why, let everyone know why this happened, that we won't make the same mistakes. So the Tura Wampum Treaty Belt was made in that 1612, and they challenged me when I was the living side, and they made it through a Bombay Town Court in Franklin County. And this Curtis Smith wouldn't let go, a judge wouldn't let it go, and he kicked it up into a district court. And then the district court, I said, I make a motion to dismiss this case for lack of jurisdiction pursuant to the Tura Wampum Treaty Belt. I'm in the area where the belt was made. I'm in the county, the first county that's ever made there, and they denied it. So for all of you to know, at a commercial court where that yellow trim flag flies, you still need to be saying these things. If you're Chanupa people, you need to say pursuant to the Chanupa, if that's what you choose. But definitely the Constitution didn't come from the Chanupa. That's all I can say to you that are going to say that. So you got to say the Tura Wampum Treaty Belt with it, and that did happen, for your information. this year, June 2024 here happened in Arizona that my sister went into courtroom and with the two Rwampum Treaty Belt and the Chanupa. And I believe a white buffalo calf woman was born that month. But yeah, 2000 and